let's go ahead and get started. We have quite a bit to cover today. So welcome everyone. As you all know or may know, I'm Mia Cash, Overpass's Talent Advocate Manager, and this is our remote sales live webinar where our sales manager, Dennis Hamilton, reviews really important sales topics and concepts that will help you all in your sales journey as a professional. This week, we will be talking about communicating the value proposition with the help of one of our AEs, John Runyon, who you'll hear from in a sec. Some quick housekeeping points. Again, as has happened the past couple of weeks, those who refer people will get a $50 bonus for the person who refers the most. So as has happened before, if you were referred by someone to come to the webinar today, you can simply chat the hosts and panelists only, not everyone, of who referred you, and we will decide the winner based on that information. Additionally, last week we went over a contractor's profile and gave them helpful tips on how to improve it to help their chances on the platform. So if your profile is in a ready to review stage, important, it has to be completed in the ready to review stage, please chat in and let us know that you would like your profile to be looked at today, and we will go ahead and pick the top 1 or 2 profiles to review with John and Dennis today. Additionally, last thing, questions, of course, you can ask them in the chat or put them in the Q&A, and we will make sure to go over them at the end of the presentation. That's enough talking from me. Without further ado, we'd love to present everyone's favorite Overpass's sales manager, Dennis Hamilton.
Hey guys, how we doing today? I hope everybody had a great holiday season. Here we are back in the saddle again. So today's topic, last week we talked about qualifying, and today we're going to talk about value presentation. And at the end of the meeting today, I'm going to send a document over to Mia to share with everybody that attended. And it's kind of like a document that shows best practices in putting a sales presentation together. And that may sound kind of odd to you because you're like, well, my client gives me my script or my presentation. But I'd like everybody to be able to take a look at that and even make suggestions to their actual client at times about simple ways that they could even improve their own sales script to break it up to where it's the most effective when you're engaging your customers or potential customers, prospects. So we want to talk a little bit about value proposition today. First of all, let's talk about, can you guys still see that okay?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I got some error on another screen here. So why is it so important? So your value proposition is doing several things. It's describing who you are as a company, obviously what your product or service is, what's unique about it, because if it's not unique, you're just more of the same. What's unique about it, and what pain point or need satisfaction you give to the customer. Depending on your product, sometimes it may be that you're putting a Band-Aid on a gushing chest wound, right? Like you're fixing an immediate pain point in that business. And in others, it may be a want-based product where I just want one of those. So how do we play into that want that the customer has and get them to actually buy from us? So let's talk about the core about how a value proposition is built and how it's presented. The first and very most important thing is it cannot sound like a sales script. The second you come off robotic, and it's tough to do if you're logging 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day on the phone, it's really hard to like be non-robotic. But the second that you sound robotic and not conversational, you're going to lose the prospect's interest. So the big thing is make it like telling a story, which is literally what it is. It's your company story, it's your product story. It's stories about other people and how that when they purchased their product, how that made them feel. So you build it on a customer's need or pain point. Number 2, build it on a customer's need. If it's a want-based product, in other words, I don't have to have a subscription to Netflix. I want a subscription to Netflix. So unless you tie into that want that I have, why would I get a subscription to Netflix if I already have Hulu and Amazon Video? Case in point, right? Or a pain point, let's say if you're in a business to business presentation, I can't get my marketing budget right. And let's say you sell digital marketing, right? The best news is, right, you're telling them how your digital marketing company can fit and fix that particular pain point that that client has. 3, explain why your offering's unique. probably chances are you're not going to be the first person that's talked to this customer about a like kind or very similar product. So if you don't explain why you are different than your competitors, there's no strategic advantage of them buying from you and not somebody else in the marketplace. And then 4, disclose just enough to inform and close. So many times people will have like, okay, I've got this 2-paragraph value proposition that I need to tell the customer about how great we are. They don't care how great you are. They care if you're supplying a need or if you're fixing pain. So it's disclosing just enough of that until they get to the point of making a decision. Sometimes we'll have a bad habit of talking past a close, which is sales suicide, by the way. Once the customer agrees to purchase our product or service, the only thing to do is talk about next steps, right? To affect that sale. So let's break these down one at a time. When we talk about telling a story, tell it like a story, break it into chapters. Now, when I say break it into chapters, go back to that analogy I just gave you. I have this 2-paragraph value proposition about our product and how great we are as a company and everything else. If you cite that all at one time in a dissertational format, you have lost the customer's attention span. Maximum attention span, if they're totally engrossed, is 1.5 minutes. This is science. This isn't this. It's 1.5 minutes. Anytime you talk over 1.5 minutes, you're losing interest. With social media and all of this content on demand and immediate availability, in a conversational format, that's almost been squeezed down to about 30 seconds. So literally, I would say as a benchmark, never be talking over 30 seconds before you're asking a question or getting a client into a 2-way conversation. And then create word pictures. What do I mean by that? We sell Bic pens and we sell them for $1.29 per dozen. It's great. Not a lot of word pictures there. We sell pens that enable you to use on a day-to-day basis that will fulfill all of your needs. When you're writing on that piece of paper, it kind of just glides and flows over the paper. It doesn't have any little missing lines or links. It's a fluid ink flow. So when you're writing that letter or jotting down that note and go back to reference it, you know exactly what it was. That painted a word picture. See the difference? So you want to create word pictures as you're telling that story. Visualize to the customer through your words what that product's going to do for them, why it makes it unique, or what exactly it does. So build on a customer's need or pain point. Number 2. This is why discovery is so important, right? What we talked about before last week, we talked about discovery. If you haven't done a good job in discovery and understand that client's want or need or pain point, there's no way that you can sell to it later when you disclose your value proposition. So the discovery always has to come first in your presentation, the need awareness questions, the discovery questions. Then it's the right time to start disclosing your value proposition. I'll ask John a question at this point. John, how many demos have you seen me do for Overpass?
Probably 20.
20, 30.
Yeah, a lot.
Do I actually make the client ask me about what we do in those meetings?
Oh yeah.
You have to ask me what our value proposition is. I will not tell you. You have to ask me. And I will keep asking you questions until you ask me. And many times about halfway through the conversation, the client will go, yeah, but I called for more information about you. And I'm like, that's the best part. And we're getting to that. Now, I'll ask them another question. And then when I'm ready, I'll go into the value proposition of what we do, or I'll give them a little piece of it and then go to another question. Relate your value proposition to them. Just gave you the Bic pen analogy, which is a crazy simple analogy, but relating to them writing that letter, relating to them looking back at a note they made. You're relating it to them, not to you. And then explain the how and the feeling. Okay, let me break that down. How is this going to make you feel once you've taken advantage of our product? Let's say we're setting appointments for a solar company, right? Explain the how and the feeling. Here's exactly how it works. A customer, one of our account executives will come by your home and do free estimates. But the best part is that feeling that most of our clients get after they're installed and they see that utility bill come in for $20 or $30. It used to be $200 or $300. Wouldn't that be a feeling that you'd like to enjoy? Right? So explain the feeling that they'll have once they purchase your product, and then trial close. So a lot of times people have a hard time on transitioning between a value proposition and an actual close. That's because they missed an important step. A trial close is meant to see if your prospect is understanding your conversation and buying into it up to this point. And the best 3 words that you will ever find to start that trial close with is, can you see? Can you see how that pen would be an advantage to you while taking notes? Can you see how excited you'd be when you see that utility bill come in for $20 a month that used to be $200? Wait for the response, right? Yeah, I could. Now's the time to close. In other words, verify that they understand your value proposition before you try to close the client. Otherwise, you're wasting your time because you have no idea if they've understood what you just told them. Okay. What makes your offering unique? You know, you see the little balls in the picture there, the little smiley and frowny balls. And if you're not the smiley ball, you're just sitting there in the other sea of frowny balls. You're just the next person that called them about getting a subscription to Netflix. You're just the next person that called them about buying big pens. You're just the next person that called them trying to get them to talk to somebody that wants to put solar panels on the roof, based on the 3 analogies I just gave you, right? So what makes you different as a company? You know, what makes Overpass different as a company is that we specialize in sales and marketing customer engagement roles. If you need a computer programmer, we're useless. And I will tell a client that, right? If you know, and I can mention 2 or 3 roles to them and I'm like, we're useless, but that's also our superpower. That if you're looking for sales and marketing help, we're the one company that's uniquely focused on that and that alone in any industry and can bring you relative talent within 3 to 5 business days, right? It's a huge differentiation of Overpass versus our competitors. And the second one is, and we'll give you white glove service through the first hiring round to make sure that we get the exact people that you need to start your team. Why is your product and service the right fit to them? Going back to discovery. If you didn't ask the right discovery questions, you won't be able to vocalize this to the client. Why is your product or service right for them? All right. What specifically have they mentioned to you the pain point they're trying to fix or the need that they have that your product can deliver against? And then how will they feel once they've purchased? Right. And we talked about that in the previous slide. How will they feel? And you can even reiterate that. Most of our clients are very happy to go through our white glove service with Overpass because it helps them get started much, much faster into building their sales and marketing team. Isn't that something that you're keenly interested in? How would that make you feel if I can get you the right people in 3 to 5 days? That makes me feel pretty darn good. Great, let's do that, right? Close, trial close. And then disclose enough to close. Do not chat on endlessly. You can't, you always say you can't gum somebody into buying something. You can't talk them into buying something. All you can do is have a 2-way conversation to where they understand your value proposition, because at the end of the day, they have control of the buying decision. You don't. In other words, you can't force them to say yes, no matter what comes out of your mouth or how long you talk. The only thing you can do is build value in your product or service to where they have a need, where you fit a need or a want, and they want to buy your product. You can't ever force anyone into buying. You may be able to manipulate them into buying. Good luck with in the future of having them as a client, but you're never going to be able to talk them into buying. So trial close, then close. Can you see how that would be a benefit? Can you see how solar panels might work out ideally in your current, in the current utility bill in your home, right? Can you see how not only getting a great price, but a very effective writing instrument, you could save a lot of money, time at the same time? Yeah, I could. Great. Let's go ahead and get your order placed, right? Or great, let's go ahead and get to the next step. You know, like if it was Overpass, let's go ahead and set up an interview block. How many people do we want? That type. So I made it fairly short today because we want to do a little role play. And the role play we're going to do, I think, is very valid because it's the exact conversation that John and I have every day with clients. So you can inherently understand what we are talking about when we're talking to clients, to where you can see where you fit into the process once you come into an interview block with Overpass. So we usually interview between usually 2 clients for every position, right, John?
Yep.
Yep. And there's a very set series of questions that we ask each and every time to each client. And there's a very certain way that we disclose our value proposition as well for each and every client. So we're going to go into a role play session. John is going to be the customer. And John, let's say you have a digital marketing company.
Okay.
Pretty good fit. We talked to lots of them, right?
Yep.
During the course of a year. So literally, let's say that John this would be a typical point in the Overpass client world. The client has come into Overpass, they've registered. They haven't posted a job. They haven't done anything of that nature. They've just registered. We have their contact information. So my job as Dennis is to reach out to John and see why he registered, what his needs are, etc. So let's just walk right into this. Ring, ring.
Hello, this is John.
Hey, John, this is Dennis from Overpass. We're the guys you registered with about the remote sales and marketing talent. Remember that?
I do. Yeah, it's been a little bit, but I do. What can you tell me about Overpass? I don't really remember all the details though.
Awesome. So we're the folks that do remote sales and marketing teams to help you rapidly scale your business. And usually what we do in these meetings is I kind of like to get you to know you better and more about your company so I can present the right services to you and the right solutions for you as far as you and your business go. Let me ask you this. How long have you guys been around? How long have you been in business?
We've been in business about 4 years. Yeah, I started it with just me, and then it's grown a little bit over the years.
Okay, congratulations. So you're kind of through that 18-month danger zone, right? And have an established business and an ongoing concern. That's amazing. So, I see kind of what you do since I looked at your website and everything before we got on the call, but let me ask you this. In 30 seconds, if you were talking to a customer, explain to me how you would explain what you do if I were a customer.
Sure. We're a digital marketing company. We help obviously with marketing, social media engagement. We build websites from time to time. Pretty much anything to do in those 3 different realms are really what our customers are looking for.
Cool. So do you do like SEO work, I'm assuming?
We do. Yeah, we do.
Okay.
And again, we customize it to whatever, whatever needs they have, whatever space they're in. And that's part of the offerings that we have.
Very cool. So do you do like social media marketing and things like that as well?
We do.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So you're kind of a full suite house. You got kind of soup to nuts, anything digital marketing is basically what you're telling me.
A little bit of everything. I think that we're kind of still growing to where we may delve into one specialty, but right now we're taking on honestly any clients we can get that have one of those multiple needs.
Awesome. So who mostly do you sell to? I mean, it's obviously business to business, but it would be like small business, medium business, large enterprise.
It would be a combination, with the exception of large businesses. We would medium, small businesses, always one of those 2.
Okay, so anywhere from like a startup up to maybe 500 employees.
Yeah, that would be 500 would be a lot. I don't think we've written any business with companies that large.
Okay, so pretty much small business then.
Yeah. So
how
how
many
can
people?
Overpass help me though? I mean, I don't really know a lot about you guys, and I appreciate the call, but I don't know what you could do for me.
Yeah, that's a great question, right? There's basically 3 things that we do. We have the first component is people. We have several thousand pre-vetted sales and marketing contractors that are on our portal that are ready to go to work, and they're all pre-vetted. So all of them have previous sales and marketing experience, and many of them have previous remote work experience as well. So we have the pre-vetted talent. The second thing we do is tools. So if you don't happen to have a robust CRM, dialers, et cetera, we have those at your disposition as well. And the last thing we do is payment facilitation. So your folks may be from anywhere in the world or here in the US, but no matter where they are, once a week, we kind of make sure that you don't have to worry about doing payroll reports. And of course, there's no payroll burden or 1099 responsibility for you. We make sure that once a week, no matter where in the world they are, that we get them paid. So that's the core of what we do. Let me ask you this. When you guys first started, did you like go out and raise capital, or did you kind of bootstrap your organization out of your own pocket, or how'd you
No,
do it?
everything has been self-funded.
Okay, cool. How many people are in your organization now?
There's 8, and then one person that just kind of helps from time to time.
Okay. So like 8 full-time and a part-time. Great.
Yep.
That's a good team. Do you now with digital marketing, is there some of your work that you sublet to third-party suppliers?
Kind of that part-time person is, not an official quote unquote employee.
Okay,
So I guess you'd say they're a contractor basically.
cool. So you got like 8 employees and then, a couple of contractors on the side.
Right,
Got it.
right.
Do you have anybody currently dedicated to full-time sales management that oversees your sales efforts?
We don't. We have 2 people doing sales, but then they just kind of roll up into me, being the owner, but I don't really have a sales manager.
Okay. Who's going to be responsible for leading this initiative then?
Well, that's going to be me in the beginning anyway.
Okay. All right, cool. What type of leads do you have? Who do you prospect to? Do you have warm leads, cold leads, no leads at all? Where are you fitting?
We've worked with 2 or 3 different lead type companies that get leads for you with varying success, some better than others, but honestly, we haven't had the coverage through a lot of those leads we need to. So that's kind of why I reached out to you guys and just wanted to get a better picture. So if you could kind of go over the whole, I've never really officially, other than this person that's someone I've known, I've never really dealt with a company to hire a contractor. I don't know the pros and cons and any of that, and just kind of, it's all new to me. So if you could break down, parts of that for me.
Absolutely. So when we look at that, I mean, basically when you're starting a sales team, and I'm assuming, are these people going to be like account executives? It sounds like you already have 2 of those. So these are probably going to be more like appointment setters. Would that be correct?
Yeah, they'll do lead generation, set appointments, that type of thing.
Awesome. So when we're looking at teams like that, and you're looking to scale out, it's basically a new department under your account executives. So when we're doing that, usually when you look at setting up, best case practice, if you have 2 AEs, you'd want at least 2 people to start, at least 1 AE, even if they're part-time, at least 1 lead gen person per account executive. And sometimes the ratio is even more than that. It just depends on your individual business. But basically, when you start out, you figure out the first 30 days, you're going to be kind of training these folks. You're going to be getting them used to your process, your products, your tools. And you're probably not going to see a lot of results, but you're going to start refining your approach as far as that team goes. The second month or day, 30 to 60, you're going to start seeing some sporadic results as they start building some pipeline, so to speak, and doing follow-up calls, et cetera, getting your folks appointments. And you're still kind of refining that message and really kind of dialing in exactly what you're doing. And then usually by about the 3rd month, you'll see some pretty consistent results. So you're going to start seeing, hey, this is exactly how many appointments I can expect out of each one of the personnel that I put in. This is the closing ratio of those appointments. So you can literally quantify what that opportunity is costing you to know how you would further scale your team. And maybe you decide that, let's say you had 2 part-time contractors, you may want to take them to full-time. If you had them all the way to full-time, we may want to add a 3rd one to be able to keep both of those account executives busy. What we would highly recommend at this point is that if it's at all possible, you dictate somebody out of your current sales team or even a contractor to be a team lead inside this initiative. Because you mentioned today you had 2 account executives. If I add 2 to 3 more people to your team, do you have the bandwidth to support 4 to 5 additional direct reports on an 8-man team?
Not the way I would like to, no.
Right. So we might want to address that right up front on kind of dictating maybe who has the most leadership ability and setting that leadership ability so you could have them report to you and have them running the initiative. Would that be something you'd be willing to look at?
Definitely. Yeah, I have a question for you though. As far as, like, say if our average product sale is $1,500, we'll just throw that out hypothetically. How much of the acquisition cost of that, by the time I pay the contractors their salary, pay overpass, whatever, I don't even know that, pay whatever.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Guys, what percentage of that $1,500 should be a good amount that I want to budget that I have to pay to get to that result? Meaning the labor, overpass, overhead, and then like a bonus structure, anything like that.
Okay, so here's a great guideline, and I'm really glad you asked that question. So let's say you have a $1,500. You're in the service industry, right? So
Yeah.
when you look at your sales and marketing efforts combined, and this includes buying, purchasing your lead list, et cetera, the best case practice is 25%, never to exceed 30% of your gross revenue. So we're talking about the $250 to $300 range that needs to cover your account executives, your lead gen, and marketing, or getting those lead lists for them on this type of an effort. So let me ask you this question based on that. What are you paying your account executives now per sale?
$200.
Okay, so you've really only got $100 left. How many sales are they being able to affect a month without having somebody set appointments for them?
Yeah, they're doing about 4 or 5 a month.
Okay, so would you say it's a fair assumption if they had somebody on the phone all the time that they might be able to double or triple those number of appointments and sales, right?
Yeah, that's kind of my dilemma is they need to sell more.
Okay.
Obviously,
So-
that's why we're here.
So let's say that they were selling 8 a month, and let's say that we could take that to 24. So that would give you $2,400 to spend that you would have in excess over that $200 commission. So of that $100, that would basically get you 2 part-time contractors, let's say on a $10 an hour base plus some commission per appointment. You would be able to afford 2 part-time contractors for about 20 hours a week. Does that sound like a good starting point for you?
So you're saying I'd be able to afford that based on the increased productivity? So it would kind
Yeah,
of
based on the increased productivity of taking that 8 to 24, and I'm just taking your low number of 8, taking that to 24. If you had 2 people calling all the time, setting appointments and making sure your closers are closing, that would leave you $2,400 a month in budget. Based on that $300 number, that would leave you extra $100 or $2,400 a month, which would pay for 2 part-time contractors about the $10 an hour range, 20 hours a week, with a little bit of incentive. And now that we're down to numbers, let's just talk about the different levels of engagement with Overpass. We have three different levels. So let me ask you this. Do you already have, because since you have your account executives, do you already have your own tools and your own dialers, et cetera? Or is that something you need?
No, we do. We're a bunch of tech guys at heart. So we've got all the software,
all the tools and the dialers, everything else. That's the best part. Because we have people. If you needed the tools, we had those. And that would be $240 per month per seat with Overpass. But the reason that we charge that separately, and this is another great time to bring that up, the contractor gets all the money you're paying them. All they pay is a 2.9% PayPal transfer fee. That's it. So the money you're paying the contractor goes to the contractor. Our fees are totally separate, unlike other services that literally take part of their compensation. So you end up getting a lot lower quality help. Does that make sense?
So you're telling me your guys' help is a higher caliber because they keep all their money?
Yes, sir. That's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying. So we don't have to worry about the 240 option in your case, since you already have your own tool set. So literally for about $2 an hour on a $20 an hour week help, or $1 an hour on full-time help, or $160 a month per contractor, that's all you would need to pay us. That's all of our fee. Plus, in addition, whatever you're paying the contractor. So we are just so ridiculously inexpensive that it's not even worth discussing. And of course, that also includes your payment facilitation and of us handling your payroll every week. So it sounds like the best scenario here would be 2 contractors, right? When are you looking to start?
Actually, in about 2 weeks.
Awesome. Here's kind of our defined superpower, so to speak. We can actually get you people in as early as 3 to 5 business days. So if I could get you people within 3 to 5 business days, would you want to accelerate that, or would you want to wait until the 2 weeks?
I just want to make sure I've got all my training details ironed out.
Okay, I think that's an excellent idea. That's an excellent idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to be looking a couple weeks out. Let's see. Let me look at my calendar. Today's about the 5th. So let's add 14. So we're probably looking around the 18th of the month. You want to take a look at your calendar and see if you have any time around the 18th real quick for me?
Yeah, I know on the 19th in the afternoon, I should be good.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and schedule an interview block with 4 people, and I'll explain how that process is going to work. But we're going to go ahead and earmark, let's say 2 o'clock your time, and we'd need about 2 hours.
2 hours to do what?
Go ahead and set up an interview block so you can talk to some folks.
Oh, okay. So when will I know how much I'm going to have to pay them?
That's great. That's a great question as well. Everybody has a published rate in our platform. I'm going to tell you from past experience that you're going to be between the $8 to $12 an hour range on people that you're looking for. Plus, you'll need to pay them a small commission per appointment set. So maybe, like another $10 for every appointment set, opportunity created that shows up. Make sure that there's teeth to that, right? That actually shows up for the appointment.
Okay.
And so it really depends on how much you like the person and what their published rate is, and you'll make that final decision. But I'll bring you folks within that price range. And then you can make the decision of what, if you want to pay somebody a little more, somebody a little less, depending on how comfortable you are in their actual experience and skill set. Does that make sense?
It does. So then they'll work for me, but you'll pay them. But then I decide like any type of changes or if they don't work out, right?
Absolutely. These folks work directly for you through us. So we're kind of the conduit in order to help you scale your team rapidly. We'll handle the payroll. They'll use Overpass just as a time clock. The hours that are accrued each week, you'll get an invoice on Monday. You have through Tuesday to review it. And we will charge you Tuesday night. Thursday, we pay all of the contractors each week for the previous week's work. All you do is simply put in a credit card number when you make an offer. You don't owe us a dime until you hire somebody. So now that we've got a time set for the interviews, why don't you go ahead and share your screen and let's go ahead and get a job posting in and let's start advertising. What'll happen is people can apply for your job. I'll look and send you profiles of people that are ready to go to work that are qualified for your position. And then our algorithm will also make some suggestions on people that would be available as well. Between now and 2 weeks, we'll make a final decision of the best 4 folks. We'll line those people up for an interview. After the interviews, you'll just pick the 2 that you like the best, and we'll go ahead and make them offers. They can start within a couple of days after you make the offers. We can have your system we can have you all launched, ready to go, even the next day. Since you're using your own tools, they could start the very next day. Does that sound like a winner?
It does. Let me make sure I understand correctly. So you're going to go through and pick people you think are a good match.
Yes, sir.
And then once I put the ad in, the computer's going to send me people that it thinks are a good match.
Correct.
So then can I tell you, hey, I liked Joe and Mary, go ahead and put them on the block. Can you do that for me?
That's exactly what we're going to do. And there's even a little button where you can save that profile and put them into a save bucket. You pick your top 4. We'll talk through those, and I will personally reach out, set them up for an interview block, and I'll even be on the interviews with you since it's your first hires and help you through that process, make sure the interviews go well, and even help you make a final decision if necessary once we get through the candidates.
Good. Is there any type of guarantee with Overpass? I mean, I've never worked with you guys, so I'm just going on a little bit of a limb here.
Here's the guarantee we give you is that we have lots of people and we will keep those seats filled for you. So obviously it's up to you to run your own business, to manage your people, to train them and make sure that they're fulfilling against your expectations. But what we can provide you is a constant labor stream in case somebody didn't work out. We can in turn bring some more people to the table for you to replace that member. So, and instead of placing a job in Indeed and having a 30-day hiring process, you always know you're 2 to 3 days out on a receipt from having somebody else sitting in that seat ready to go.
Got it. Well, sounds good. Let's
awesome. So let's just go ahead and share your screen and get a job posted and cut. So, kind of open it up for Q&A right off of that. Now, first thing is, did everybody see how I broke Overpass's value proposition up into about 6 different segments during that conversation? There was never a long dissertation of 2 paragraphs. Did everybody see how I had John ask me? And by the way, we did not rehearse this before we started. This is totally cold. This is what we do every day. So did everybody notice how I would refuse to, not refuse, but disclose a little and then go right back into questioning and discovery before I went to the next piece of value proposition, and let John ask, and how that conversation was 2-way through the entire process. So what I'd like to do now, Mia, is bring the folks on that are visitors, and I would like to offer up that you folks critique what you just saw. In other words, what did we do good? What did we do poorly? And what could we improve on based on what you just saw in that role play?
Awesome. I think that's a great idea, Dennis. So, in order to make this easier, everyone who attended, if you would like to make a comment on what can be improved on or just your general feedback, go ahead and raise your hand. If you raise your hand, I'm going to go ahead and give you the ability to speak so you can verbalize your comments or feedback. So, again, go ahead and raise your hand. That button is at the bottom of your screens. It says raise hand if you would like to make a comment, and then you can go ahead and give feedback to Dennis and John on their role play and their workshop they just did. So I'll give everyone a few moments to think about what they want to say, and then go ahead and raise your hand if you'd like to speak. Okay, we have Ernie who would like to raise his hand. Ernie, you're allowed to talk. If you would unmute, you can go ahead and talk.
Okay, yes, yeah, I love the session. Can you hear me well?
Yes,
Yep,
sir.
we can hear you.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So, yeah, we pretty much specialize in, any type of service. And we want to treat our clients with, full respect. We're not robots here. That's definitely not the way we work. So the way that I would work for you is, my intro, I would discover and I would find a wound. Okay. And then I would find a cure for that wound, right? The cure is the value that you're offering for that customer, right? So I'm going to help cure that person, that customer, their wound, whatever they need for their company, whatever's a good fit. And if it's not a good fit, that's okay. We can part ways, it's perfectly fine.
Absolutely.
But yeah, definitely 100%, but yeah, Dennis, I appreciate you inviting me. This is really great stuff. And yeah, like us, as I'm an advisor, I'm a rep, I'm a specialist, marketing specialist. I know a little bit about everything, and I still have a lot to learn, right? So I'm still open, but I don't know if there's a lot of companies that work with a script, but then again, I work with them and, I have my own script. I have my intro, I discover, okay. And then I let them, it's 50-50, of course. And, what I'm looking for is a wound. I'm always looking for a wound. I'm trying to find something I could fix, something that would help that company have a great ROI, right? Because if they're making money, we're making money.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's the way I work. 100%.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ernie. Thanks for the comment.
Thanks, Ernie. We're gonna have to move. Yeah, we're gonna have to move on to our next person, which is Adubi. So Adubi, go ahead. You can go ahead and talk now if you want to unmute and give us your feedback as well.
Hi guys, thank you for the opportunity. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Right. So you guys were pretty much relaxed, the great role play and everything. But in real life, I experience customers who are in a hurry, who don't have time to chit chat this long for 30 minutes through the whole process of discovering and showing the value proposition and everything. How would you handle a different scenario where the person you're talking to needs you to finish up pretty much faster than we use 30 minutes for this call? Say the person had only 10 minutes, only 15 minutes. How would you handle it?
I'll tell you exactly what I do, Duty. I set time in their calendar where they've got enough time to where we can unpack the conversation. I won't speed it up ever.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, look, I think this is really valuable information. Why don't we do this? If you're in a rush, let's look at your calendar and figure out when you have 30 minutes to where we can unpack this entire conversation. I don't want to recommend something to you that's not a good fit. And I also don't want to recommend you even do business with us if you're not a good fit for us. That's exactly the conversation I have.
Wow. Okay. Great one. Thank you so much for that answer.
Yeah, no problem at all. And that does happen often, right? That a customer will go, I've only got 10 minutes. I'm like, that's fine. It's just not enough time. Right. When can you give me 30?
Okay. Great.
And I don't go through value proposition or anything. I'm like, no, stop, time.
Yeah. And
give me 30 minutes.
Just kind of get the client to reiterate, hey, are you still having the problem? So in the context of our role play, Dennis would basically reiterate, well, do you still need sales folks? And if I say yes,
Right.
but I can't talk, okay, well, we probably should get back together and talk about it another time when you do have time. But just get that verbal commitment that yes, the wound or like the previous caller said is still there. And if it's there, we'll get together whenever is good for you and we'll work on it together.
Right.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
won't break stride and accelerate. We keep that exact pace you just saw. And if that's not the pace and they hurry us, we'll break the meeting and reset.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nima. Thank you so much for the question, Doobie. Last call for any other comments, feedback, or suggestions before we move on to reviewing a couple people's profiles who wrote in. Oh, one more, Walter. Walter, go ahead and talk and unmute. You should be good to go.
Hello, guys.
Hey,
Can you hear me
Walter.
fine?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, perfect. So I've been in this kind of platform just like a month before because I'm actually looking for a job. I've been a cold caller for almost 2 years here, and based on the role play that I've witnessed a while ago, it seems like knowing about the platform, what it is, and what would be the customer can get, or what would be the prospect can get by by consulting overpass. So definitely that's a good idea. It means to say that once you were in this kind of flat platform, it means the reliability and also the legitimacy of the company as well. So definitely this platform is quietly good for me to find a new job. Yeah, that's all.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
We're glad to have you on.
Just
Thanks,
hang
Walter,
tight
for
the rest of the meeting
joining.
and we'll go through a few more things for you.
Yep. So I think I'm the one only Asian people here because I'm here in Philippines right now.
Oh, you're
Okay.
not
We have,
maybe
we have a
like
lot of
Chinese.
Filipino
have a-
contractors.
We have a
Absolutely.
ton.
Okay.
We have a
That's
ton.
good. That's good.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Walter. Being cognizant of time, I think it'd be good to move on to, we have a few profiles. If we can't get through all of them today, no worries, that people wanted to put forward. So Dennis and John, I'm going to send them to you via Slack and you can kind of take a look.
Okay.
The first one, her name is Pearl, and she actually joined us last week and her profile was in drafts, but now it is ready to go. So happy that she volunteered again. So what we did last time with Abe was you
I'm pulling
shared
it
your
up right now.
screen.
I'm pulling it
Yeah,
up right
was you
now.
kind of shared your screen with her profile.
Pearl Oku. No.
Pearl Sinam.
Wait, what's the last name again?
Senam, S-E-N-A-M. I slacked it to you, her link. If you want to
Oh.
open it. John, did you see it?
Yeah, I've got it pulled up now.
John, why don't you
Okay,
share your
perfect.
screen?
Yeah, John, you can go ahead and
Because
share your screen.
I'm going to kind of turn the meeting over to John at this point, just so you guys, just so everybody on the meeting knows. John used to be in senior sales at monster.com. He's been doing this as far as staff and recruiting longer than I have. John is one of our resident experts on matching contractors to clients. So I'm going to have John kind of look at this profile and critique it and give us your feelings, John, just your gut instincts, how, what's good, what's bad, what can be improved.
Absolutely. Now I just got to figure out how to share my screen. I don't use Zoom a lot.
Bottom one, share screen, up arrow in a box.
Wait a minute, bottom
Menu, share screen.
share screen, bingo. I'm disabled.
Uh-oh.
That's strange. You're a co-host, so you shouldn't. Oh, because you joined. Okay, there we go. All right, John, you should be good now.
Yeah, now it looks good.
Perfect.
Okay, so wow, we got a lot of
I was
choices.
about to make a joke about the disabled, but I'll pass. I can share my screen. Hold on, let me see this. I'll go for plan B here while we're waiting, John, if you're still having issues.
Yeah, it's my stupid Mac doesn't want. Oh, here we go.
Got it?
No, I'm getting there. Just
I
give me
can
a
share my
second.
screen as well if that's the easiest course.
I'm
of
already on
action.
it.
I maybe
You're on
will
it. Okay.
do it.
Go.
Oh, there we go. There's Dennis. All right, cool.
Okay, sorry about that. It just wasn't cooperating with me.
Oh, no worries. I can scroll through this and you tell me up or down.
Yeah, just scroll down. Okay, stop there. Okay, So as an AE, when I'm looking through the dashboard for all the contractors, who's a good fit, who's not a good fit, obviously there's a few main things we filter for. Say if the client's paying no more than 15 an hour, then I'm going to search profiles that say between 10 and 15, and then also between 15 and 20, because the contractor doesn't always know exactly what that means. What it should mean, and take good note of this as a contractor, this is kind of your usual market value of your own self-assessment, okay? It doesn't mean there will be roles that you're qualified for that don't pay more, and if they do, then you may get more. And it even may be a case where if I contact you and say, you know what, you're really qualified, this guy's going to pay up to 17 an hour, maybe change your profile before the interview to 13. That way you're a little closer. Or it may be to where the opposite, you're a little above, and I may say, you know, you're really good, but you're listed at $22 an hour, and the very most they'll pay is 15. So go ahead and take that back down to 15, at least till the interview's over. So those are just kind of fluid things you may want to be aware of, because that's an important thing, because you're almost like a product in the store and you're putting a price tag on yourself. So you want to price yourself accordingly. So $10 an hour is good for this role we're looking for. It's going to pay between, you know, say 9 and 13 or 14. Usually it's within $3 or $4 an hour that we know when we're filling the role. So I'm going to look at the name. I'm going to look at your location. Where are you? Obviously, I'm going to click on your recording, which is extremely important. So when you do that, two things you want to make sure of.
Dr.
One,
Freeze got him. He'll be back here in a second, I think.
you're not there?
Oh, I think Dennis may have frozen on us.
Yeah. Can you guys still hear me, Mia?
Yeah, you sound great, John. So
Okay,
you
cool.
can continue while
I'll
we
just
wait
keep
for Dennis
going.
to come
Yeah,
back.
I'll
Yeah,
just
go
keep
ahead and
going.
keep going.
So anyway, Pearl, yeah, great. When you do, or not just Pearl, but anyone, when you do your recording, make sure it's nice and quiet. You wouldn't believe the amount of ones I hear that there's crackling and noise and just a lot of general chaos. You want it very quiet. When you speak, just be very conversational. Maybe read it 3 or 4 times till you kind of know it. Maybe have it on your screen so that, you know, when you're reading it, it's all nice and easy. And speak very clearly like you were in a meeting at work. I mean, that would be my advice there. Oh, we lost Dennis's screen. I've still got
All good.
mine.
You've got it. Okay, I can also
But
share
I
my
can't-
screen, John.
Yeah, if you could share yours.
Yeah,
that
no
would be
problem at all.
Okay.
So we can continue.
I think I just don't use Zoom enough to where I've got, for whatever reason, it's not cooperating.
Can everyone see this?
Perfect. I could see it.
Awesome. Okay. So did you
Okay.
want me to scroll down, John, or
No,
is this
you're
fine?
good right now. Scroll
Okay.
just a little bit down where, no, leave her picture. That's cool, right there. So
Sorry,
on
guys, I
the picture,
hiccuped.
oh,
No
he's
problem,
back.
Dennis.
Welcome. So yeah, make your recording nice and clear, not too loud. Definitely make sure you're speaking close to the mic where it can pick you up, and just read it articulate it very clearly. And then especially if you live somewhere where you may know English, but yet you may need to enunciate a little more deliberately, just so it sounds very good on the recording. So definitely do that, because keep in mind that almost all of these roles are North American roles, and it's very English centric. So we all know that going into it. Just put your best foot forward on your recording. On your picture, same kind of deal. Her picture's perfect. She's centered, looks professional, plenty of lighting. You can get a good look at her, get a feel for, you know, who she is, how she is, you know, whatever your senses are as an AE that I will look at and make whatever judgment. That you can't always put a finger on what it is, but you look at someone, you hear their voice, their name, where they're located, what their rate is. You're starting to build a little picture on, okay, are they probably a good fit? So then I'm going to scroll down. You can scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to look through 2 things: your experience and then your availability. The availability is neglected, or seemingly neglected a lot of times, by the contractor, because it just doesn't make sense. My best advice is obviously put when you're available, but if you're looking for a full-time role and it doesn't have to be this hour or that hour, you can always go through. If you're just basically, you need a job, period, and you're wanting to work full-time or part-time, but you're wanting to get as many hits or as many at-bats as you can for an interview, make that availability wide open. You know, if you can work on the weekends, hey, she's got Monday through Friday, put the weekends on there as well. take your hours if you want. I've seen people that will say 11:59 through 11 the next day. So it's like all day. So if you have a very narrow window of availability, definitely put it. Otherwise, you'll waste a lot of time getting, inquiries that you're not available. But don't, by the opposite token, don't kill yourself by making your availability narrow if you're really more open. So always
want
look
to
at
make
that.
one comment on this one on availability, John.
Mhm.
Putting between 8 and 10 p.m. is absolutely useless because
Exactly.
there's no US company that's going to call anyone from 8 to 10 p.m.
Yep.
Even if it was business to consumer, they won't call after 8 p.m.
That's true.
So
And
putting 2 to 10, the 10 p.m. is useless. Nobody in the US is working and actively calling folks at that hour. So
Yep.
the very latest hour that you would want to work is 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. But if you want full-time availability, I'd put like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yep.
US time.
Yep. US time. Yeah. Everything is obviously around US time. And Dennis is exactly right. I saw a profile the other day. She was available Monday through Friday from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. And it's like, no one's going to interview you. We don't have those kind of jobs. So if you're on the call, you may not get a lot of roles because we don't have late night work. It's not pizza delivery. This is office type work done remotely. So I'm going to look through your experience. I'm going to look at your job titles. I'm going to even look where you worked, because kind of where you worked is important. If the client is looking for someone with a certain background, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're looking for just a good person that has good sales experience. Other times you got to have real estate experience, or you got to have marketing, or whatever it may be. So those things are important. Put down the very clearly, like she did, sales rep, where it is, a little bit of what you do. The more of what you can put in there without it being very lengthy is good, just to give a good overview. And I would also make sure you include really anything that you've done that's really going to be valuable as far as sales background, especially on the phone and especially remote. Maybe even put, if you've been working remote, kind of where it says Stanbic Bank real estate, you can put parentheses remote, just to give the client a little assurance that, oh, well, they've been on remote work before. They're seasoned pro at this.
One other caveat there. After you list all your remote sales experience, even if you were a waiter at a restaurant, put it at the bottom of the list. Here's why. Let's say I got a client in that sold restaurant point of sale systems. You had zero experience in anything tech related, but you worked in a restaurant, you ran a point of sale, we would find your profile because you would qualify for that position. So even if it seems kind of non-relative, don't put it at the top, for God's sake, please. But a couple of experiences, like industries that you've worked in, you might put a very short job description, just so we can find that in our search that you've worked in that industry before. Would that make sense, John?
It would. And one other thing, I'm going to lean on you on this one. When they fill out their experience, do we automatically rank it by most new first, or does the contractor put that in the order they do?
That's the thing. The contractor decides the order in which their experiences are put. So it doesn't automatically shift to chronologically or anything like that.
Good. Well, that leads me to this point. I would always put your most recent experience at the top, unless it's just horrible and you don't want to dwell on that. But if your most recent experience is in line with what you usually do, put it from newest to oldest, so that the first one is the newest one. That way they get an idea of what have you been doing the last year or two, not in 2013, as this one shows. So that to me would be, I would change that around, because the other one below it is October 2020. I kind of want that one at the top. If you put that at the top, you're going to have a better result. So that would be a little feedback on there. If you could click down to where the show other experience, yeah. See, so we're jumping all around, and then we go back to 2012, 2013, and then 28, which is good. That's towards the bottom. So yeah, all in all, this is good. I couldn't hear the recording, so I can't critique that, but the picture was professional. I kind of like I'd put maybe a little more on my roles, but not a whole lot more. That's pretty much in the ballpark of what you'd want to, really put as far as your background. And those little bubbles where it has cold calling, appointment setting, lead generation, those are good. Use as many of those as you feel you need that are going to really qualify you as these are your skill sets. So I would definitely lean on those as well. And overall, I would say this is not a bad profile for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. Pearl, I hope that was helpful. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. I am cognizant of time, and I know we had a couple of other contractors who wanted their profiles reviewed. I've marked down your names, so next week we will go over them. So we haven't forgotten about you. There was some question about the availability and putting that in. So Overpass is nice in that when you put in your availability, you put it in your time zone. So if you're in South Africa, you would put it in the South African time zone, and the availability or the time zone will automatically adjust to whatever time zone the client is or whoever is looking at your profile. So for those who want to be within the time zone of average US business hours, you kind of have to calculate from your own time zone. So in South Africa, I believe they're 8 hours ahead. So you would most likely be working more in the evenings to keep with a US hour structure for the day, if that makes sense.
And just so you know, our sales operations manager lives in South Africa. And she works from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. our time, which works wonderfully for our schedule because I go to work at 6 a.m. every morning. So her and I get the whole day lined up before the rest of the team comes on.
Yep.
Now I have the benefit of working like 6 to 6, but anyway, that's a whole nother story.
No, so I know sometimes that can be a bit confusing, but over on the availability, put it in your time zone. It will automatically adjust to whatever time zone the person who's looking at it is. So just think about that as you're putting your availability. Just to wrap up, we have a couple of minutes. Again, as usual, this video and the corresponding materials will be sent out to each of you so that you can review it. We will be announcing the winner of the bonus soon, so make sure to bring your friends. This is something we do every week, and definitely join us next week. I know it's the new year, so kind of everybody's ramping back up, but this is something that's super helpful for our contractors, and we want everyone to participate and benefit from this knowledge. So again, thank you all for coming. Thank you, Dennis and John, for the wonderful role play and information, and we will be in touch. Thank you all so much for joining.
Thank you, Mia.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Have a
everybody,
good
for
one.
coming.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.